And I understand they're native trees too.
They are, that's correct. And native trees have been added to that mix. So we'd want them to go to a licensed nursery, purchase the tree. We will reimburse them up to $100. Send us the receipt that indicates the species of the tree, and our folks will review that request, and probably going to take them about 6 to 8 weeks at most to get that reimbursement back out to the customer.
How long it takes to get your refund from the IRS.
Typically about anything, isn't it?
So that's not too bad, yeah. So, but we really haven't had that many come forward and ask for that.
Yeah, I guess what 5,600 versus 1,000. So yeah, it's about a fifth and a little bit less. So again, venues like this where we can get the word out. I think the city's taking some steps to try to get the word out. We certainly want people to take advantage of it.
We absolutely do want to get the word out. You talked about construction. You said to finish the tree cutting and construction. What construction are you talking about?
Right. The program was really in three-pronged approach. The trees were one. Another was replacement of infrastructure, and that is the replacement of poles, transformers, and other equipment, replacement of wires on those poles. And then the other part was a relocation of overhead primary wires to underground in certain areas where it made sense and worked. So those two phases are what we're calling the construction. So a lot of overhead work in the rear of the houses, and then the underground work is occurring in the fronts of the homes.
So that's the big holes that people are finding in the yard?
Yes. And I could address that. The technology that's used for that is directional drilling, and that was really developed to avoid the old typical trenching operations that would occur. So we're able to drill really for established areas. So we create both a sending and a receiving pit and then drill underground. What people see so many excavations occurring for is that we are required to expose every utility line that we have to cross. So every service line that comes into a customer's house, be it sewer, water, or gas, needs to be exposed so we can visually see the drill crossing beneath that utility. So unfortunately, many of those lines are placed in driveway aprons or sidewalks or even in some landscaped areas. So there's really no way around that. But we're working very hard to restore those areas to their original condition. And certainly we would encourage people that if they're not happy with the restoration to certainly contact us, because we certainly want to make that right.
Who would they contact? Would they contact you or the forester?
Well, they are given contact information. We have notification folks that are going out and discussing what needs to occur, handing their cards out, so they know who they should be contacting. And certainly they can contact our general customer service number if they
would put them in with the right. Because some people say they just had something hanging on the door and nobody talked to them. Is that?
There should be a phone number included with that. If that's not occurring, we certainly want to hear from people to correct that.
Very good. So now, you're replacing, when you have to dig, you're replacing the driveways with hot mix. Is that correct? And so that it matches.
Correct.
Of course, unless it's a very old driveway and hasn't been sealed, then you will see the little Jimmy Hoffa spot right in the middle of the driveway. What about the grass? What are you? How are you fixing that?
Yeah, grass is the same way.
With hot mix?
Restoring it to its original condition. So in most cases, that's going to mean seed and straw.
So what were the people talking about, this mesh?
There is a material, the name escapes me at the moment, but it's a material that has some polypropylene in it. It's really used to stabilize more steep slopes, and we did use that originally. That's been stopped, so we've removed that, or are in the process of removing that and restoring those lawn areas.
But if it's a steep slope, it will always have that.
Well, the concern is that the steep slopes, if you just do seed and straw, then it's going to erode more quickly. So you would put that in there to stabilize that. Now there is a more natural fiber type of matting that can be used that will actually break down over time.
Oh, that's interesting. But you do come back and take it off.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Let's see here. I had a couple of questions to ask you. We talked about the holes in there. Oh, I wanted to talk to you about when people don't want a tree cut down. And I say, well, you can say don't have the tree cut down and get in touch with BGE. What happens then if the tree is not cut down? What happens to the whole, like the plan that you have for the?
Yeah, we have a process. We call that a variance, and it's really just a word we use to indicate an unresolved customer issue. It could be something as simple as we've knocked on the door, made some calls, and just haven't been able to make contact with a customer, all the way up to the customer does not want the tree either trimmed or removed. The problem in that is that this really becomes a chain, and if we can't get the line trimmed to the standard all across the line, then we have a weak link in that chain. So it's almost as if you're sort of exposing the entire customer base to a problem that may occur in one small area. So we really are working as much as we can with individual customers to get them to understand why this is important and to let us complete our work.
Oh, very good. Now, the poles that went from the backyard to the front yard, I believe there was almost 100, and some of them are being moved back to the backyard at the request of the resident, but there are some that can't be moved back. And so can you explain the difference on why some can and some can't?
Sure. The original intention was to take the opportunity. As you know, when the Levitt portion of the city was developed, the lines were placed in the backyards.
Right.
And unfortunately, the developer or the city did not create access alleys for those. In many cases, the fences abut, so access back there is very difficult. And what we tried to do was identify poles that would contain crucial and critical equipment that would assist us in restoration and operation of the system. And we wanted to get them moved more closely to the street to enable quicker access, safer access for our field people, and to speed restoration when we get out here. On an individual basis, customers pretty much understood what we were trying to achieve, and while all were not in total agreement, at least they understood, and we did move a considerable number of those poles. The issue came along with the city, and a number of residents felt that the streetscape had been impacted and really were concerned about the number of poles. We had moved about 50, I think the exact number is about 47, closer to the street. The city asked us to go back and take a hard look at possible alternatives to doing that, which we did. We were able to identify about 21 of those locations that we could move the pole back to its original location. So we will be engaging those customers over the coming weeks about moving those poles back to their original location.
Oh, that's really good.
So that means we have about 27 ultimately that have critical equipment, important equipment, that really need to remain in the place that they've been put.
Well, believe it or not, our time is up, but before we go, I do want to tell you that I spoke to the president of the PTSO, and she just was raving, not mad, she was raving on and on about how wonderful it's been that the power has not gone out at the school, and she lives in the M section, and the power hasn't gone out there either, and so they're very, very happy there. She's especially happy with the school and the kids not losing any time because of power. Thank you, Mike, for coming out. We could have probably done a half an hour with this too, but thank you for sharing that very important information.
Thanks very much for the opportunity, Diane.
Great, great.